Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It is playoffs time here on the All About the Birds Weekly Report here on the AAT Sports Network. Welcome. The Philadelphia Eagles. We'll get to you, sir. The Philadelphia Eagles are in the playoffs. We are ready to talk all things Eagles and some team from Tampa Bay that went to a retirement home to get a quarterback. We are live here on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and of course, because you can't comment on Twitter, we are going to be putting the link to the YouTube every which way. So comment, get your comments in. So shout out to Marina checking in, what's going on? Check out to Maddie checking in, what's going on? Shout out to Adam checking in, going on. I'm Chip. That's Johnny. That's Mike. And we are joined for the second time this season in a repeat by JC Allen. He does stuff with the Buccaneers. I guess he's all right. I mean, it's cool. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just excited for this matchup. Obviously, there's a lot of history between these two teams going back.
Yeah.
To 2000, their first Super Bowl when Rondé Barber shut down the link. Some back and forth between these squads, and they played earlier this season, so this rematch, which I said could happen, looking at the standings and looking at the way things were shaping up in the NFC East. I didn't expect them to win the NFC East, but to sneak in as a wild card, and I do mean sneak in as a wild card. Good for the Eagles. They're here. They're here for a good time, and just happy to be here.
And that's it. We're talking about the idea of we're playing with house money at this point. So if you look at the way this Philadelphia Eagles team was kind of laid out at the beginning of the season, it was, we might get in, we might do some things, but 7-10, 8 wins, that's kind of where we were going. The Eagles clinched their wild card spot before the final week, so we played nothing but backups in the final week of the season, which was god awful. And I think the biggest thing, and JC, I'm gonna talk to you about this, is how different these two teams are from week 6 when they already played.
Yeah,
both accounts. So give us a rundown. What's been going on with the Buccaneers? How are they different from the week 6 matchup?
Well, injuries. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Injuries on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the Bucs secondary hasn't been fully together since week 1, and not even then, because Jordan Whitehead missed that first week. So 2 weeks ago, week 17 was the first time the full secondary was on the field. Didn't last long. Sean Murphy-Bunting went down. Last week, again, repeat. First time I'm going to have him on the field for a full game. Jamel Dean goes down. So on the defensive side of the ball, you're looking at finally having, hopefully, Jamel Dean's still dealing with some hamstring tightness. Injury report came out today. And you had Sean Murphy-Bunting on there dealing with a hamstring, limited participation for both of those guys. So if they can play, it's going to be the first time if they play all game that you'll be able to see the Bucs secondary on as a total package, complete package back there. But then you look on the pass rushes. JPP's been playing with a torn rotator cuff, fractured finger. He sat out the last 3 games. Levante David's been out the last 3 games with a foot injury. Shaq Barrett's been out the last 2.5 games with a knee injury. So, I mean, defensively, they've been the walking wounded all season long. I mean, they had 8 cornerbacks on their roster before they put Richard Sherman on IR the other day. So, I mean, that's how banged up they've been in the secondary. But you look at kind of what they've been able to let up against the Jets and against the Panthers, as far as rushing the ball, which obviously we know is the Eagles' bread and butter, starts with Levante David not being there, and he's a huge difference maker. Devin White has had some really rough games the past 3 games, and that's part of the reason why the Bucs dropped down from number 1 rushing defense all the way down to the 3rd. Still first in the NFC, but it's one of the big problems. On the offensive side, you lost Chris Godwin. You've been banged up at wide receiver throughout the year. Antonio Brown was gone for 6 games, suspended for 3. Gronk was out for 3, week 3 pretty much he's been out all the way into after the bye. And even then he tried to return early, week 9 against the Saints, much to, on his own will, and then, back spasm. So you really haven't had your full arsenal of weapons. And then when you're about to get them all back, Chris Godwin goes down in that Saints game with an injury, lose him for the year, ACL. Antonio Brown is the diva that we know he was, the monster that we know he was, and he's gone now. So Cyril Grayson, who's been on the last 2 games before the season finale, been a huge part of that offense. 183 yards, 2 touchdowns in those games, 9 receptions, and now he's doubtful with a hamstring. So those are the big differences. It's really injuries what's come down to. Leonard Fournette's been out. He's been, at one point he was had the 3rd most receptions on the team as a running back. So that's really been what's happening on this side of the field for the Bucs. Is injuries have been banging them up hard, and they're going to have to find a way to overcome. The good teams do. They built really quality depth. Hats off to Mike Greenberg and Jason Light and Jacqueline Danielson and Jason Spytek for going out there and really just finding guys who can play and who can step up and have that next man up mentality. And, they're a better team for it because they've got depth at so many different positions, guys that they know and they can trust and come up and play. But, the Bucs are going to have to really hope. They've got a lot of guys back at practice this week, and they got to hope that they're going to be ready to go and be, full tilt, full on when it comes down to Sunday's matchup. Long-winded answer.
No, it's the right answer. Now, I just have to ask. You mentioned that JPP has a hand injury. How many fingers does that leave him with officially? Is he at 7.5 fingers to play? I have to know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. You know what? I will say 4th of July, off topic, 4th of July, I got, I didn't get crazy with fireworks or whatever, but I got little fountains. I was at the grocery store, and I'm in Florida, so they have fireworks at sale there, little fountains and stuff like that. So I got some fountains, and I went to light one, and the fuse burnt my thumb. Like, really, I'm like, I should have learned from JPP. I cover him. I should have learned from him. I had like 3rd-degree burn on my finger. I'm like, it was very painful. I'm like, I'm all done with fireworks. Unless I get one of those long fuses from like Looney Tunes, which are like 5 feet long that you can just light and watch it. I'm all done with fireworks. Learn my lesson.
So I want to kind of go back to what you were talking about the injuries, and I want to go to the offensive side of the ball. Losing Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown just saying I don't want to play anymore. Grayson's hurt. Fournette, is he coming back? Ronald Jones is hurt. What is basically Brady is there, and is basically 2 targets you could talk about right now is Mike Evans, who I know has had some hamstring, and also Gronk. I know they have Brait and they have OJ Howard as well for tight end, but
you guys know about OJ Howard.
Oh yeah, we know.
Oh, we do.
But it's just like with that offense and Tom Brady, the way I look at it is I look at the New Orleans games and how New Orleans play, how they play Tampa, and this is something that you could see the Eagles possibly doing with all these weapons possibly missing.
No. And you're right. I mean, you look at Mike Evans, you look at Gronk, you look at Brady's career, besides 2007, no disrespect to Troy Brown, Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, but Gronk and Mike Evans is arguably better than any of those matchups that players that he's had work with. So still in a good spot. Leonard Fournette, as you mentioned, he's returned to practice. Watched him last week warming up. He looks like he's going to be good to go. Playoff running should be in full gear. Rojo probably out with an ankle injury again this week. We'll see if he comes back. But as far as the question goes, no. And quite frankly, it's because you don't have the personnel. I mean, you look at what the Saints have on defense. They've got playmakers all over the place. One of their weak spots is linebacker, but they cover that up with their safeties and their cornerbacks and their defensive line so well. Unfortunately, the Eagles got hit hard with injuries at edge. Sweat stepped up. That's, I think, 7.5 sacks for the season, but he's still, he's not one of these guys like a Cam Jordan who wins with strength. He's a guy who get him to the outside, use his speed and athleticism. And he's going to be going up against Tristan Wirfs, who is an athletic freak. Guy jumps out of swimming pools for fun. But linebackers, you guys don't have any. Safeties, you guys really don't have any. They played all right. Cornerback. The thing that really hurts too is the defensive scheme you guys play zone. You guys, what the defense does is it allows you those 6, 7, 8 yard. It's a rally tackle type deal. You got, old cornerbacks, small cornerbacks, and Avante, Journeyman, and Steven Nelson. And these guys aren't the type of players who are they don't want to tackle. Really, they're not going to come up and hit you in the mouth tacklers. They rely on rally tacklers. And what Brady does so well, and what really will limit an already struggling pass rush by you guys, 31 in the league on blitz percentage, blitz rate, 31% in sacks this season. And that's not to say Hargreaves and Cox don't get good pressure, but with playing that type of zone, you're letting up those short passes, right? And that's Brady's bread and butter. It's always been those short intermediate routes, and especially Leonard Fournette coming back. This is going to be a dump off 6 yards. I'll take that every day.
The one interesting thing, and I was looking back on it, the last half of the season, the Eagles have played more man coverage than they've played zone. Well, than they've played early in the year. They're playing more man. So it's the one thing, and they're kind of trying to disguise. Another thing is you can't disguise anything with Tom Brady. He's going to see you no matter what you try and do. But you're not playing that super vanilla type of defense that they saw back in week 6. Week 6, if you go and watch that, and you were talking about how off the coverage was and how terrible basically what the Eagles defense was doing and what they were showing you. But, you look at guys like TJ Edwards at linebacker. The thing with Tampa is their running game. They have a great offensive line, but they just don't seem to have that great of a running game. Now, they really don't need to when you have Brady able to sling it around to the other guys. But I think, and you talked about Sweat, I think what they may do is play Sweat on the opposite side against Donovan Smith, who, yes, he's a good player, but he's not Tristan Wirfs. If you want to talk about a weakness, you can try and get that because of how Sweat can get around the edge. You don't want you want to try to maximize what you can do in terms of try to get pressure on Brady.
Yeah, but he's been really good this season. I mean, I think he graded out as the 11th best tackle in the Pro Football. That's left and right tackles. His game has taken it to another notch. He's really earned that contract he got in the offseason. And Brady gets the ball out so quick, it's going to be difficult. And I mean, this is the Eagles team that you're not going to need to leave backs in. You're not going to really need to leave the tight ends in. I think this offensive line can kind of match up pretty well against the Eagles front. And if Sweat does start getting hot, you got Le'Veon Bell there. You've got Keyshawn Vaughn, Leonard Fournette to chip if they need to. You can always use Gronk to chip as well. So I think it's going to be, if you're going to get pressure, it's got to be from your penetrators. It's got to be from Cox. It's got to be from Hargrave. But even then, Hargrave has fell off really, still strong penetrators. But his numbers, I mean, he entered week 6 with 6 sacks. He's only got 7.5 on the season. He got another half a sack in, 11 games, something like that. So, I mean, he's fell off statistic-wise. And Brady does obviously the offensive line, you're looking at, 3 or 4 of their guys are in the Pro Bowl. Alex Cap as a first-team alternate. So you're looking at those 3 guys in the middle who are going to do a good job of handling them. You hope, and even so, Brady can still. He's such a good manipulator of the pocket where he can just, he feels the pressure before it's there and can make moves. It's going to be tough for them to get to Brady, I think. Just looking at what this Philly defense brings. I think that's the biggest. It's going to. I'm not trying to take away from Philly at all because I think they do have a solid team. They've got some ways that they can beat you. They're
going to need turnovers. They're going to need turnovers on defense. They're not going to stop the offense every single. You're gonna need a turnover here and there. That's what's gonna help you.
Which is something that they don't do well, right? They're 16th in the league with turnover margin, with a zero turnover margin. So I mean, it's not something they've been doing great at, and that's because they're giving up that zone area where for dump offs, where forced fumbles and errant passes aren't coming into play because they're giving that to you, and that's one thing where the zone has killed them a little bit.
Yeah. So, we're talking about offensive line here, and you're saying, the Eagles line, I'm just looking it up, PFF's final rankings, we finished fourth. So, Tampa Bay is second, Philadelphia is fourth, which is fantastic. So could we say that this is probably, in all likelihood, a game where both quarterbacks have clean pockets? I mean, are we expecting a high-scoring game? I kind of am, to be honest with you. I think we're probably going over – I say we're probably going 60 points or over, if I had to guess, combined.
I got it right around 55, somewhere around 50, 55, somewhere around there. But, yeah, I mean see, the biggest thing is Jalen Hurts, right? And he's not a pocket guy. If that starts to collapse, and you got big boy Vita Vea and Jason Kelsey, who, obviously Eagles legend, but he doesn't handle bull rush as well, right? And that's what Vita Vea is going to give you. You're getting Shaq Barrett back. You're getting JPP back. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka has been great as a rookie. Ndamukong Suh's found this extra burst. Just talked to Will Golston today. He's really, his pass rush has really gone up a tick as well this season. So, they're going to try to hide some things of Jason Kelsey with some slide protection and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is accounting for Jalen Hurts when he gets on the move. I mean, that's going to, if it starts collapsing on him, Jalen Hurts isn't going to, he's not Tom Brady. He's not Mac Jones, not just another young quarterback who you watch him and you can sense that they feel the pressure and they're able to make slight moves and, kind of evade the pressure to sit in the pocket and get the ball off. That's really not Jalen Hurts' game. He feels the pressure coming from one side and in the middle. He's going to dip the ball and take the ball and run with it because he's good at it. And if you look at what happened last game, pretty damn good, 44 yards, 10 rushes, 44 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the Bucs have struggled with containing mobile quarterbacks. So I don't necessarily know how clean of a pocket it's going to be for Hurts, but if they can give him a clean pocket, it's still trusting his vision, making, and obviously he's improved. And like I said on the last show, I'm a big fan of Hurts. It's trusting his accuracy, trusting him to find the guys open. Because, like I said, if the Bucs have their secondary back, Carlton Davis is one of the best corners in the league, in my opinion. Antoine Winfield Jr., PFF first-team All-Pro. Jamel Dean, if he can go, he rated out as the number 7th overall cover corner in the NFL this season. Sean Murphy-Bunting is kind of where you can pick on in the slot a little bit, I think. And then Jordan Whitehead is he's known to be a tight end eraser. So it's going to take away some of those guys for Hurts, even if he does get clean pockets to sit in. And it's going to be interesting to see what they call, because again, I mean, this is a game, it's win or go home. It's playoffs, right? But for Philly, this is not, let's keep this in the drawer for next week. For Philly, this is everything's coming out. Everything that we have, everything that we've got, it's coming out so we can try to beat the Bucs. And then, heck, we'll try to figure out some new stuff next week if we advance. For the Bucs, it might not be so much like that. They might have some things that they're, hey, we're not ready to play this. Not that they're taking Philly lightly, but I mean, this is a situation for Philly where they're going to, all the stops are coming out to try to win this game, I think.
I mean, and I think a lot of the stuff that you're saying, it resonates. So, you look at these two teams, and they are very different than the Week 6 matchup. For example, Zach Ertz is no longer on the Philadelphia Eagles. He had 4 catches for 29 yards. Lane Johnson didn't play in that game in Week 6. Going over to Tampa Bay side of the ball, Chris Godwin had 5 for 43. He's not there. Antonio Brown, 9 catches for 93. So these two teams are exceptionally different. And you mentioned the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are now known for their run game. This was prior to that. This was when they were still throwing the ball over 50% of the time. Jalen Hurts had a very inaccurate game that day. What's that?
There was a run the ball chance during that game.
Right. I mean, you had 9 carries for Miles Sanders and 10 carries for Jalen Hurts, and that was the entire run game. But you look at the plays, and it was 73 offensive plays for Tampa Bay, 47 for the Eagles. So one thing I think is going to be really important is the idea that the Eagles have got to stay on the field. Now,
that's the biggest thing.
A question that I have for you, and you heard all the lip service, you heard the saying of the right things when they said, you're playing the Eagles. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? You had a chance to talk to some of the players and talk to some of the people. Is it lip service, or is there actually a slight air of uneasiness in Tampa Bay that they pulled the Eagles in the week 1 of the super wild card?
Super wild.
Super wild card.
I refuse.
It's got a cape. It's got a cape and everything.
I don't know if there's uneasiness, but they don't. Brady's been around for a while. These guys don't take any opponent lightly. They're here for a reason, as Brady said. Every team is 0-0 right now. Regular season doesn't matter. What you did there doesn't matter. There's different things that you're going to be rolling out and obviously building upon that you've done well. The running game has come on for the Eagles. I mean, that game, even still, Miles Sanders had 2 big runs late when they were trying to come back, and the Bucs were mostly playing the pass. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be strength on strength, right? One of the Bucs' strengths, and they dropped to 3rd in the league in run defense. Part of that's because Levante David was out, and then we have 2 edge setters with Shaq and JPP missed some time as well. They were out, so they dropped down to 3rd best run defense. Still number 1 in NFC, but that's got to be their game plan. You hit the nail on the head there. They need to keep the ball on the ground, keep it moving, and have long extended drives. You look at what the Philadelphia Eagles did. I mean, not the Philadelphia Eagles, the Carolina Panthers did last week in that first quarter. That's got to be what the Philadelphia Eagles do, but to come away with 7 instead of 3. They had 2 drives that ate up almost that entire first quarter. The Bucs had 3 offensive plays. It was a 3 and out. That's it. So that's got to be the game plan for Philly. They've got to, that's got to be what they hope they can accomplish is to keep the ball on the ground, keep it moving, long suspended drives that end with 7. And if that doesn't happen, then it's going to be a tough game. If they're settling for 3, it's going to be a tough game because this Bucs team has put up 30. They've averaged over 30 points a game at home, and the Eagles haven't been so great on the road. You look at their wins, and they're against inferior competition. The 2 games that they did have to play on the road that they got spanked. The Raiders put up 33, and I believe the Cowboys put up 41, maybe. Something like that.
We know. We remember.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
But again, I mentioned that those 2 games are before they established a run game. See, that Eagles-Raiders game is where they started to run the ball. Miles Sanders gets hurt, and they take another week, and they go, you know what? Let's try running the ball with a Jordan Howard. But ever since that happened, the Eagles become – it always cracks me up because the national media broadcasters are saying, oh, they're a great running team, and they're committed to the run game, and that's always been the game plan. And us in Philadelphia went, no. We bullied them into a run game. The fan base bullied them into a run game. But again, I keep mentioning the fact that this team is just different. There is 0 Buccaneer Philadelphia Eagles game plans with these 2 teams. There's no game film from it.
The thing is, the difference that came from this Eagles team is against the Lions, against the Broncos, against the Saints, against the Giants, against the Jets, against the Eagles twice, against the Giants again. I mean, we're looking at really inferior competition. The Broncos, I left them off that list because they've got a good defense. The Chargers, as well. But, I mean, the teams that they've done it against, especially the quarterbacks and the offenses they've done it against, haven't been otherworldly. So that's got to make you pause for consideration, too, when you look at what the Eagles have been able to do. Yes, they've turned it around. But what have they really had to face during that stretch is my concern for the Eagles. What have they had to really go up against that they've proven themselves? That it's not the same Washington defense from last year. I think the Eagles more so found themselves in the wild card rather than drove themselves to the wild card.
But the way I think of it is you look at this NFL season and really anything is possible. You play who's on your schedule. Oh, yeah. You look, they beat a Saints team that the Bucs can't beat. They beat the Jets played the Bucs really tight. Eagles blew them out. So you can put it any way you want. Tampa also lost to the Washington football team. Yeah. So
They did.
You can relay it that way.
Taylor Heineke is not a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Let's put it out there on the reverse for once.
But again, you can look at schedules that way. You play, and the Eagles actually are better on the road. They're 6-3 on the road, 3-3 they were 3-5 at home, which is weird. It's kind of weird to when you have that, just because you would think teams better at home than they are on the road. But my question, and I know Mike's gonna love this, my question has to be with the weather this weekend. So 80% chance of rain, winds 20 to 30 miles an hour, higher gusts. Is there a little bit of a concern in terms of, the passing game with, winds, and even the kicking? The kicking game is going to be affected with it too, especially if it's sloppy and windy like that.
Have you guys ever been to Florida for like an extended
stay?
I have. I just want to say about Florida, I stood under a tree and sweated through a shirt. Never going back there again. Don't recommend it.
The saying in Florida is if you don't like the weather, wait 30 minutes. We were supposed to.
No, that's so true.
We had a 70% chance of rain on Monday. No rain on Monday. So a weather report coming out on Wednesday. We take it as a grain of salt. I'm not worried. Tom Brady is a cold weather quarterback. He's played in all sorts of different things, different elements.
Tampa Tom? Nah, not Tampa Tom anymore.
He's I think that he's gonna be. I think they'll be fine. Do I think it works in other teams' favor? No, not necessarily. I think Leonard Fournette's been a really good runner when that's been the emphasis of the game plan. I don't think it really matters, to be honest. Mike Evans was asked about this. They've got some really good rain gloves. They'll be practicing probably with some wet balls this week. I'm not worried about the rain. Or the wind.
Will they be deflated though? That's the Tom Brady question. Let me ask you this,
they're not
because
up north in the cold weather, so they'll, if anything, they'll be inflated because of science. Because of science.
Because of science. Just so you know, breaking news: the Eagles just signed Nick Foles to a 30-day contract. So he's just going to come and shake Tom Brady. So you're cool with that, right?
BDN, yeah, bring it down.
No. I think Johnny just disappeared, and that means we got.
He got flustered when I said BDN. He was gone.
He did. So let me ask you this, because we want to talk expectations, right? The expectations for the Eagles were very low coming into this season because new coach, really a rookie quarterback.
Bad roster.
Going into this game, we know the expectations for the Bucs. They are right where they were supposed to be. I mean, they were in the playoffs. They're actually probably upset that they weren't the number 1 seed, but there's only one bye week now.
Yeah.
What is the general feel if Tampa Bay were to lose this game? Would they consider this season a failure?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think the fans would definitely consider it a failure. It's the funniest thing because if you heard Tom and one of his reasons why he had to get out of New England, then you watched, the Man in the Arena, the latest episode. I don't know if you guys are watching that on ESPN Plus, but he talked about the expectations that New Englanders and they had. They expected this. At the beginning of the year is who are the Patriots playing in the AFC Championship game?
Right.
Well, because of Tom Brady, and it's his fault. Because he's so good at his success, and because of what they did last year, that's the expectation. The expectation is for them to go back to the Super Bowl. You bring back all of your starters. You draft some quality depth. You got Tom Brady back. You hear the excuse that he had played with an MCL all season long. You hear the excuse that he didn't know the playbook till week 12. Well, hey, now you know the playbook. Now you don't have an MCL. Now it's not a shortened off season. Now all these excuses for you guys not to win last year when you won aren't there. So the fans expect to win. I think the team obviously expects to win. They'd definitely be disappointed as a collective group, but they accomplished, some of their goals, which was to obviously win the division, be a high seed in the playoffs. It's not everything they want to do. Tom Brady personally, he said he feels on his podcast on Monday, he says he feels satisfied with what he's done individually to get his team here. He's never one of the guys who's going to gloat for individual goals, but it's Tom Brady. He's the ultimate competitor. If they don't win a Super Bowl, it's a failure of a season for him. I mean, that's just the guy's been to 18 AFC championships, 1 NFC championship. He's just been an absolute animal his entire career. The only years he didn't make it was when he tore his ACL. Another one was, the rebound year after they won the first Super Bowl. And then there was another one thrown in between there. The guy's just been an absolute animal. So, I mean, for fans, yes. For the team, probably a little bit of both. They'll be satisfied with what they've done. If it's this week, then yes, it's a failure. If you can't get by the Eagles, no offense, then it's a failure. You're a 2 seed playing a 7 seed. You got to win this game. You're at home. You got to win. And you mentioned 2 different teams. Gronk wasn't there. And, I look at the Eagles defense, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't see an answer for Gronk. I don't see anyone on that defense that can.
There's definitely been a lot. There's been talk of that issue. Just speaking realistically, because as you mentioned, we've gotten some good linebacker play, but definitely not of a caliber that's going to stop Gronk. We've gotten some safety play, but nothing of a caliber that's going to. So yes, there is definitely that factor, and we know that the Eagles,
because you got Mike.
The Eagles get burned by tight ends constantly. We know that.
Yeah. You can't double them because you got Mike Evans. So it's like, what do you? And then if you do double, if you decide to put resources on both of those guys, which is a fool's method, you're leaving everywhere else open, and you're already playing zone, so it's going to be tough. I know you said you guys were playing a little bit more man. My question for you is Slay. Slay's still not shadowing anybody, right?
No, I mean, he gets the number 1 guy typically.
He's not going to shadow Evans if he relies on the left or on the slot.
He
or
might.
The right.
He might, because in all reality, with you guys losing Godwin, with Antonio Brown not being on the team anymore, there's your 2 and 3 guys. So you have to hope that Steven Nelson can get his Pittsburgh glory and at least cover a number 4 caliber wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the play, but does it throw off the schematics of their defense if you're having?
I doubt it.
Slay?
I mean,
the thing is, since Bruce Arians and Brady they've been really experimenting with Evans in the slot a bunch too. So Evans has been in the slot, and that's what, if I'm a Philly fan, if I see Evans line up in the slot, Slay's not a slot guy. I mean, that's not what he does best.
But Avonte Maddox is one of the best slot corners in the NFL.
5'8" and 180 pounds.
He holds his own there, though.
He's got short arms.
He's a tough dude. He's a scrappy player. I'll give him credit for that.
But if it's a high point in the, if it's
true, then you're going to come across some issues for sure.
Well, when you do what my coaches told me you used to do. You got a guy jumping for the ball, you're shorter than him, you crack him right in the thighs with your helmet. Make you think twice about jumping up.
And I honestly think that the best defense that the Eagles are going to play is through their offensive running game. Yeah, I think the more you can keep Tom Brady on the sideline, the better chance you have of outscoring him when it's all said and done. I actually think it's going to be sort of a low-scoring game. Because I don't believe that Tom Brady is going to get as many chances as he would like to have the ball.
The thing too with the offense is, they can't psych themselves out of like they did in week 6, right? I know this is a changed team. Running game has been phenomenal. They can't psych themselves out and say, hey, we're not going to be able to run the ball. We got to pass the ball. As soon as they start to feel like they need to pass the ball more, they're already out of their element. They've broken what they've done, and it's going to be a long game for Philly fans. So that's one thing, that Bucs fans and, really hoping Levante David is back, because if Levante David's back, it's going to test that running game. And if they don't have success with it early on, and the Bucs get a score or 2 up on them, it's going to force them to go away from what they do best and what they want to do. And that plays right into the Bucs' hands. So, if the Bucs want to, really put this game away early, if they win the coin toss, you get the ball first, you go down, you score, 3 and out, score, 3 and out. And then, even if you go 3 and out or you get 3 points, you make this a 17-0 game real quick. That takes everything Philly wants to do and does well successfully really out of their hands, and it's going to be tough for them to recover from that. So Philly's got to, like you said, they've got to open up strong, and they've got to have clock-killing drives. They really do, and they've got to end with 7 points. 3 points is not going to cut it against this Bucs offense, especially what they've been able to do at home. Yeah.
My final question for you, because I know you have a wide slate of Philadelphia media to go through. My final question for you is, because you got the inside track, there was some slight drama with a former member of the Buccaneers recently, by the name of Antonio Brown. What else have you heard? Is it more of Antonio Brown being that guy, or did Bruce Arians and the medical staff and the coaching staff cross a line? Because there are two different narratives. We know the truth lies somewhere in the middle there. What's going on? A little bit more of the insider here.
Yeah, just first to address Julio's comment down there on Facebook. How you doing, Julio? Hope you're doing well. If you go back earlier in the pod, I covered that. Not having Levante David, Shaq Barrett, JPP. That's a huge reason why they're able to move the ball on them. I digress. I'm going to flip that question back on you. What do you think is more likely? What do you think is more likely?
Oh, Antonio Brown's a complete and total head case. He got hit so hard that he got the CTE knocked into him.
Yeah,
and we know he was a head case before. He was a head case before, but
it was covered
that
up.
That hit was crippling, mentally crippling.
What really I think had started all this is when he went to the Bucs the week prior and asked to have his incentives guaranteed. The Bucs said no. That really, got in his head, got him upset. Then he started thinking about how much money he's making. And then obviously he brings up on his podcast how much money Gronk's making. Gronk's got incentives. He's got incentives, and then in the end of that Jets game, because yes, has he had an ankle injury? Yes, he has. Did he sit out Thursday and Friday at practice? Yes, he did. Did those text messages say he was getting therapy, training done on his own while Bruce was out with COVID? Yes, it did. Did Bruce also say that he attended the walkthrough on Saturday and it was good to go? And I don't know about you if you guys watched that Jets game. There's this one, I'm not even going to say a double move because it was more like a triple move. He puts on Bryce Hall to knock him on his ass. And he just in and out of breaks and you tell me your ankle hurts. So obviously, the story that comes out was he was upset about targets. Targets because he wants his incentives. Gronk had 6 targets in that first half. AB had 5 for 3 for 21, and Mike Evans had 4. So he's out targeting Mike Evans. Gronk's got 6. Because Gronk is a guy who's open. And we're talking about the Jets here. They don't have a real answer for tight end either. So Ashton Davis was their guy. And I like Ashton Davis, but not yet. He's got some time to grow into a role. So he was upset about that. From what I've heard and confirmed from 1 or 2 players that I've talked to, that was indeed the case, a halftime blow-up over targets. And then that's stretched into the second half where Bruce Arians, accounts ring true from what I was told. Antonio Brown, they called his personnel package in. He refused to go in the game. He waived off the assistant coach. Then he waived off Bruce, and Bruce was like, "Get in there." He's like, "I ain't going in," And then he's like, "We'll
get the fuck out, right?" And again, you gotta
like this, but more like this, Get the fuck out of here. That's
Bruce Arians is a no nonsense guy, and he said this guy's got 3 strikes. He's already burned through 2 of them. So I don't question Bruce Arians on this.
The injury thing too is baffling because if you look what Bruce has done so far with all the guys who've been injured, he's given them extra time. Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean. Not Jamel. I'll get to him. But Sean Murphy-Bunting, Carlton Davis could have came back a week earlier. He kept them on IR to make sure that they were fully good. Jamel Dean got a concussion, left the game, came back, was out with an illness, left the next game with an illness. They kept him on an extra game to make sure he's good. Jason Pierre-Paul has been out the last 3 games to get healthy. Rob Gronkowski, forced himself back into that Saints game where they weren't ready to put him back in there. As soon as he suffered back spasms, pulled him out. Levante David, again, Leonard Fournette, Shaq Barrett, all these guys, they could have used – they potentially could have used these guys. Some of them have incentives, kept them out. Hell, the bigger goal, the bigger picture is what's more important. Not $1 million to AB, who's made millions of dollars in his career. All these different things that Bruce has done just goes against everything that he's done this season as far as maintaining player health and safety and keeping them, out of harm's way as much as he can. I mean, if you look at a lot of the injuries, they've mostly been soft tissue, hamstring and stuff like that. So, it just doesn't add up. One player told me that's just AB being AB. So, has he had outbursts before? Is he going on past? So
just a few.
It is what it is. I thought you were going to talk about. I thought you were going to talk about Shady, former Eagle, on the I Am Athlete podcast. That was pretty good. You had some good stories there.
He's all for the Eagles this weekend. He's all for the Eagles this weekend.
I don't know. I mean, is he on social? It's putting him in a rock and a hard place.
He went and got himself a Super Bowl title. Cool for him.
Two.
But he is Philly.
Yeah.
So it's come to that time where, I mean, I think I know where you're going with it, but give us a prediction. And then what super wild card game are you looking forward to the most?
Oh my goodness, super wild card game. Well, yeah, obviously, I think this Eagles team does present a variety of challenges for the Bucs. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be blowout, cakewalk, but I also don't think I'm not necessarily sure that the Eagles have enough to be able to Tom Brady's going to be able to pick that defense apart. Mm-hmm. I just think he's going to be able to move the ball at will, especially if they're going to continue playing that soft zone where they're giving you 6 to 8 yards, and playing rally tackling. And it really depends on Slay and what does he do? Is he shadowing Evans? Are you trying to erase him out of the game? But even then, I mean, we're talking about, an answer for Gronk. Leonard Fournette's coming back. If you're giving him that 6 to 8, Brady's going to take that all day long. There's one thing Brady knows how to do is pick apart zone defenses, and I think he'll be able to do that in spades against the Eagles. And it really depends on exactly what you said to open the show. And, what I think is their best way is to, they've got to go to the run game early. They've got to have success with it, first of all, and they've got to have drives sustaining, big explosive plays are nice. If Miles Sanders breaks one or Jalen Hurts breaks one for 60 yards and a touchdown, that's great. If it only takes 2 minutes off the clock on the drive, that sucks because it's just not enough time. You're not keeping Brady off the field for long enough. So, and I think that's what you're looking for. All in all, the Bucs have scored 30 points every game this year at home. Philly hasn't done great they're not a good road team. They've got some definite struggles that they're going to have to overcome, especially the Bucs can force them out of that run game. And if Levante's there and helps force them out of that run game and make it more one-dimensional in the passing game. But I got the Bucs winning at home. I have them winning by a good margin. I have it 33-20 right now, Bucs. All right. And as far as wild card weekends, I'm a New England native, baby. So let's go Pats.
Okay.
But as far as a game that I'm like interested in seeing, like that I want to see, is probably funny enough Raiders versus Cincy. I think that game's gonna be really fun to watch.
Go Cincy.
Yeah, right.
So I read something. So first off, we always make fun of the Cowboys because we hate the Cowboys. But after they lose this weekend, they can go back to watching their Super Bowl highlights on VHS. That's the only reason why VHS plays are still being made. But how about this? Nobody in the history of technology has ever been able to send a text message about a Bengals playoff game.
I saw that. That was crazy because the last playoff game they won was 91. First text message was sent in 92. I saw that. That blew my mind. That's crazy.
That was something hysterical. So we rag on the Cowboys because of their VHS Super Bowl highlight tapes.
But is
literally
that true,
highlight tapes.
Because didn't Marvin Lewis get them to the playoffs a few times?
I don't think they ever won a playoff game.
They didn't win one, but they made it to the playoffs, didn't they?
I think that the quote was that you've never been able to text someone about a Bengals playoff win.
Oh, playoff win, yes, for sure. Because I thought they made it to the playoffs a few times.
They
or
did.
You know what? I mean, the same thing could be true about them. Did they win the division at all in those years with Ocho and Marvin Lewis? I don't know.
Wild card, they got to Pittsburgh in 2015, 2014 wild card, 2013 wild card, 2012 wild card, 2011 wild card, 2009 wild card. I mean, everything is at somewhere.
But here's the thing. Do you remember the year that Carson Palmer tore his ACL?
Yes.
That was a team.
I thought that they had a really good shot that year. And then, John Kitna comes in and obviously it's not the same team. Yeah, that was a tough game to watch, but I thought they would have made some noise. I thought they could have gotten past Pittsburgh, but could have, would have, should have.
Yeah. Just a comment too. Fournette will be back. He's been out there running. I saw him last week out there running and cutting. He looks smooth. So I don't think he's gonna have any limitations on him at all this week. And Sherman strapping on the headset like me. He's gonna be a coach now. And what's one thing that I don't think gets enough credit is having Sherman there. Certainly didn't play as much as he wanted to, but the insight and knowledge and advice he's been able to give these young quarterbacks who have never had a mentor. I mean, the only guy they ever had was Ryan Smith, a career special teamer. So having him back there, and in their ear has been great for the development. I mean, I kind of attribute some of Jamel Dean's, even though he's been injured so often, some of his, progression as a player probably is the Richard Sherman.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Bucs definitely have the experience, the playoff experience, the veteran knowledge. But I mean, it's going to be colder and wet. Hips start to hurt a little bit.
It's not colder than it is in Philly.
Hips starting to hurt, bones starting to seize up, muscles starting to cramp them. I don't know.
It was 80 on this. It was 80 on Sunday. What's
but it was a cold 80. It was a cold 80.
It was nice. I was at the beach.
It was actually I think it was just flipped here. I think it was just 8. 0-8.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one thing that worries me, too. If it doesn't rain, if it is, because like I said, forecasts can change. Everyone watching this pod, don't be like, weather, because it's Tampa. Literally, Florida forecast can change. If it does, if they can if that is the game plan, right? Chip, you hope that's the game plan that they're going by.
A little bit.
It's the same drives. If that is the game plan, I mean, that could favor into their favor a little bit. I mean, I think Tom Brady's going to be able to pass the rock. It's Tom freaking Brady. But, that could favor into them, and I could see why Philly fans might be a little excited about that. But I wouldn't be overly, betting on that. Like, oh, this weather's going to be a game changer for us, kid. Because I don't think it's going to.
Awesome. So, JC, why don't you talk a little about what you do? You're from the Pewter Report. I didn't say that at the beginning because I was too busy making fun of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But talk about a little bit about what you do, your socials, where they can find you, and take it away. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, obviously, Twitter's right there, handle's right there, at JC Allen NFL. Feel free to give me a follow on there. Always, tweet out some good stuff, football stuff. Obviously, mostly Bucs stuff. A lot of you probably don't care about that. Any follow is great. All of our work here at Pewter Report, pewterreport.com or Pewter Report on Twitter. All of our links are always posted out there. Breaking news, updated news. If you want to stay up to date on everything. If you want the betting lines, we'll have those out on Saturday. If you want to, get some prop bets and get some good bets to pick up if you are a gambler, definitely check that out. We've got some podcasts. Actually, we just had a podcast out today previewing this game with Ben Solak in it of The Ringer. So if you guys, he's a Philly guy. So if you guys want to check that out, go ahead. He's not as optimistic as some Philly fans might be, and they might get on him for that. But yeah, but that's where you guys can find me. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to this game. I think the Bucs should win handily, but I think that it's going to be a good matchup. And I'm really looking forward to Rondé Barber breaking down this victory on Tuesday next week.
Oh, God.
We were having a really nice time together, too. You know that?
We were really enjoying this. Ryan would like to know, just since we're ragging on people, if Arians wears a battery pack in the front, or does he have a second job as a Ghostbuster?
It wouldn't surprise me. A funny Arians story. So Arians, obviously, you guys know, he's always wearing a hat or the Scully cap or whatever. So if you watch the highlight, it's on the Buccaneers. It's also on my Twitter page if you want to search and find it. They're watching for the outcome of the Rams San Francisco game, and then he's also breaking down the win. He doesn't have a Scully cap on or a hat, and how pale the top of his head is from always wearing a hat in the Florida sun. It cracked me up. It cracked me up. It was really funny to me. I don't know. That's because I see him all the time with a hat on. So I see him without the hat and see how pale the top of his head was. It was pretty funny to me. But he's probably a Ghostbuster. I mean, hey, why not? I would love to be a Ghostbuster too. I haven't seen the new movie yet. I heard it was pretty good, though.
I have not. I've heard it was really good. I heard it's much better than some of the later stuff they've been putting out.
Oh yeah, that last one didn't even exist. I love women. I'm from a woman. I love my wife. I love my daughter. But yeah, that female cast has got to go.
Yeah, I mean, even the remake of the song covered by who was it? The Shut Up and Dance guys, Walk the Moon. Even the song wasn't good.
No, thank you.
But anyway, we're not talking Ghostbusters. We're talking about Bucksbusters, and we are going to whoop your ass on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we're going to try really hard. Look, we talk about this on our show. Like, at this point, we're playing with house money. So if we win, fantastic. If we lose, it's going to suck, but we surpassed expectations. We are hoping for a great game where we are in it at the end. I should say we. I am hoping for a great game where we are in it at the end.
Hey, and if it doesn't pan out, you guys can always look forward to Embiid and Ben Simmons joining the court again.
Yeah, that shan't happen. JC, I'll have to get you on to one of my Monday night shows. We talk all sports.
Awesome.
So we'll let you talk some Sixers and talk all the great things that have to do with that. But we're going to kind of keep going with a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about behind your back and say great things about the Eagles for a while. But we appreciate you joining us tonight and giving us 50 minutes of your time, making us one of the Iron Man guests of the show because normally they hang for about 30. So we appreciate you.
Not a problem, guys. I had a blast doing it. Maybe we'll do it again next year. I'm not sure if they're on the schedule or I don't think they are. But if the Eagles somehow make the playoffs again and they face the Bucs, we'll do it again next year. Until then, guys, thanks for having me on. All the viewers, thanks for ribbing me in the chats. And hey, let's have a good game, right? Everyone has fun. That's all that matters.
I just hope that both teams have fun.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, JC, appreciate you. Mike, I hope both teams don't have fun. I hope the Philadelphia Eagles beat the hell out of the Bucs.
Hey, look, man, like JC was saying that Tom Brady says, everyone's 0-0. So week 18, by the way, never again do I want the Cowboys and the Eagles to close the season out.
We're going to spend just a little bit of time on this because, oh my God.
Like I had said to Johnny, I felt it. Like they're going to flex that game. But I knew it would be
because it's Eagles-Cowboys.
Right, but it's like, did the NFL not know that this was going to happen? You have a team with nothing to play for. And also, shame on Mike McCarthy for playing your starters into the fourth quarter.
Agreed. I understand the logic where your offense has been sputtering, but it's like beating up on a 2-year-old.
Congrats, you beat our practice squad. What if Dak Prescott would have blown his knee out first drive of the fourth quarter? And then where are you going?
You just kicked more miles onto Ezekiel Elliott's tires. When Devontae Smith took a couple hits, I was like, get him out. The record would be great, but get him out. He doesn't need those hits. Those were unnecessary reps. And even still, what the Cowboys did is they put out a solid effort, but they put on tape how you can get beat with a mediocre team.
And let's not forget, in that first quarter, our backup offensive line, some of these guys are our backups. They were moving that first team Dallas defensive line up and down the field.
That's my point.
So I understand the box score looks really good, but if you're a Cowboys fan, if I'm a Cowboys fan, which I'm not, clearly,
hell no.
That victory doesn't make me feel any better.
It doesn't. But they were so proud. They were so proud about it.
Did you? I meant to actually send it to the group DM. Somebody made a picture. It had like all the Dallas's banners, and
it's like regular beat up on the practice squad 2022. Yeah, that was great.
I loved it.
Chris's comment here, right? I hope Dallas loses in the first round. Julio corrected him right away, and I appreciate you for that. Chris, I love you, but Julio's right. I hope San Fran takes him out, and I'll tell you what. When you look at great matchups of history, Cowboys, 49ers games, you have to include that. I do think a healthier Jimmy Garoppolo wins this game. And by doing that, they sign him to a 2-year extension and they keep Trey Lance's ass on the bench.
That is interesting. I actually would disagree. I think,
if he wins a playoff game, you don't think that they just give him the job? I
think they use it as leverage to move him to get more for him.
Also, but if you have a win now situation, why do you give the keys to Trey Lance, who is not ready to win now?
I don't.
He came from the unquarterback factory of North Dakota State.
Hey, listen, man. That we're talking about the same school that put out Easton Stick, so I don't want to hear it from you.
Easton's what?
Easton Stick. He was the guy after Carson and before Trey Lance.
I know. I was really hoping you would say it really like quickly together again because it sounds like you said his male genitalia.
try. Hey, I like series stuff. Would you like to hear about the Eagles-Buccaneers series all time?
I would love to hear about the Eagles-Buccaneers series.
All right, so they've played 20 times. It's actually closer than you think. It's 10-10. They've met 4 times in the playoffs, and they're 2-2. Tampa Bay's first ever playoff game was a win. First ever in their franchise was a win against us in 1979, 24-17. So, also in the series, the most that any one team has scored is 45 points. And that was Tampa Bay in 2015. We all remember that season. I wanted Chip Kelly fired at halftime of the Detroit game. Did not happen.
I wanted Chip Kelly fired when they got his ass off the plane. I was never a Chip Kelly fan because I do not believe in gimmicky college offenses being successful. They work for a time. See Steve Spurrier. But then they failed. See Steve Spurrier.
I have a question for you.
What you got?
I was thinking about this on my ride home from work today.
Oh, you thought about me. That's nice.
Yes. Are we all wrong about Howie Roseman?
So I'm going to save the long-winded answer to that for one of our off-season shows.
Okay.
But at the beginning of this season, we said that Howie had to have a great season to maintain his job. Howie Roseman had a great season.
The draft was good.
The draft was good. The pickups have been good. The personnel that he's provided Sirianni with have been good. The contracts are at a good I am no Howie Roseman supporter. Please do not get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. And we'll spend time on the offseason with this when we start to see the moves, the corresponding moves to continue building this playoff caliber team. But Howie Roseman had a good season.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I think one of the best draft picks that he made was Milton Williams.
Milton Williams.
And I'm not going to say, please, I'm not going to sit here and say all pro bowler. I'm not going to say that, but
yeah,
we're talking
huge
about
upside. Huge upside.
3rd round draft pick, and we have a solid contributing piece. And also what JC was saying before, our linebackers aren't good. I get where he's coming from. These are no-name linebackers, but TJ Edwards, since he became the starter, and he's more athletic than people give him credit for. I'm sorry. He just is. I would feel a lot more confident going into this game if Davion Taylor was playing. I think, and I'm not saying that he could shut Gronk down, but athletic, rangy, fast.
Alex Singleton, we know, is not great in coverage. But he did have 14 tackles in the last matchup, and that's because he was the starting linebacker at that point. Alex Singleton has a chance of doing good work here.
But here's the thing. Dhani Jones used to have a lot of tackles too. They're all 9 yards downfield. Alex Singleton does the same thing. But to JC's point, we were a swarming defense. I've seen a lot more attacking going on. We should also mention Jonathan Gannon was requested an interview. And okay, so
Bye-bye. I'll take Brian Flores. Thank you.
Yes, I don't like the uncertainty of okay, we just had a new defensive coordinator come in and now they learn the scheme. Now we're going to have another guy come in. But the truth is there's going to be some candidates out there. Brian Flores would be my guy. And we also have Vic Fangio, who's now unemployed, as is Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, there's some defensive-minded people out there. But again, that's all for the offseason. Because here we are sitting on January 12th talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, a 4-win team from last season, being a playoff team. And out of all the matchups in the NFC that we could have gotten, I felt the most confident about this 7-2 matchup.
I don't know. It can happen. Are we doing our predictions now? Or are we saving that?
We are not doing our predictions tonight because we will, breaking news here, be live from the West End on Sunday at 11:45 for an hour-long pregame show. We will be live from the West End. It is an away game, and as long as the Eagles keep winning, the All About the Birds team will keep being at the West End because it's all away games from here on out, friends.
Unless it's January 30th.
What day?
That's my birthday.
Don't you want to podcast on your birthday? I podcasted on my birthday.
Well, it's like
Don't hurt
Corey's
yourself,
birthday-
kid.
Corey's birthday is 2 days before, so now it's like a whole thing here. It's like we have to be home.
It's fine. Look, we're going to get into all of this on
I would
Sunday.
be
We have a lot of things to talk about. The only other thing that I want to share, and I found this and it hurt my feelings, and I just want to talk about this really quickly. I am officially out of words when it comes to Jalen Reagor.
Oh, I thought we were going JJ Arcega-Whiteside. But
No, he hurt his finger dropping a ball. We're good there.
And he's on IR. He's going to miss the remainder of the playoffs.
Who
Sorry,
will block?
Birds fans.
Who will block?
Someone.
Who will block? They're going to have to fill up the stat sheet somewhere else.
I'm sure.
But here we go. This season, Henry Ruggs finished the season with more yards, 469, than Eagles' first-round pick Jalen Reagor did, 299. And Henry Ruggs is in prison.
Since week 8. Week 8, mind you.
To say that Jalen Reagor has been an epic disappointment, to say that this coaching staff said that this guy, Jalen Reagor, he was one of the only starters to play the entire game, and he still didn't register as useful on Sunday or Saturday night. This is the offseason to move on from Jalen Reagor.
There are guys on our practice squad right now, and one of them might get called up, and Keyshawn Johnson, not that one, that I think can be a bigger contributor than Jalen Reagor. Keyshawn Johnson's there. At this point, I would probably take John Hightower over Jalen Reagor, and I am not a John Hightower fan. See,
thank you, Julio.
Talking about. We also have.
You don't need Reagor anymore to return kicks. You don't need Reagor anymore to return kicks because Jason Huntley now has secured that job,
and that's fine. And I like him there. And that, you know what, that could have given him a roster spot for next year, for all we know. I'll take Deion Kane, I think, is still on our practice squad. Any one of those three guys right now, I would take over Jalen Reagor. It's a shame. He's got speed. He can move. And you know what? Credit to Nick Sirianni, who, hey, we were hard on Sirianni. Guess what? The dude can coach. Newsflash, everybody. He has tried to get Jalen Reagor the ball and fabricate touches for him to the detriment of this team at times.
That's a great point.
But you cannot say, like Nick Sirianni can say in the offseason, hey, man, I tried with this guy. It's just not happening. And if they can move him for anything right now, well, obviously not right now, but in March when trading opens.
Yes, please.
I will wish you good luck at your next destination.
Well, our next destination is going to be signing off. This has been the All About the Birds Weekly Report. We're going to get into the picks on Sunday because Sunday at noon, we will already be live. Sunday at 11:45, we go live at the West End in Quakertown. So real quick, let's go over the sponsors. Shout out to JC Allen for joining us this fine evening from the Pewter Report from Tampa Bay, giving us a really solid rundown of his team. We appreciate that. Shout out to Johnny U and his new babies. Just like when the new babies came, the whole computer started lagging. So Johnny is on slow-mo mode right now. His computer chucked him off, but we held down the fort. I'm Chip. That's Mike. We appreciate you listening. Here are the sponsors. All the links are in the bio. Statement Game, a fun free twist on fantasy sports. Please make sure you are checking them out. The AATSportsNetwork.com/shop. Please make sure you are checking us out and supporting our local business. Symbol, the stock market for sports, symbol.com. Use the promo code AAT Sports when you sign up for them gamblers out there. All About the Birds is partnered with La Terrain Luxury Watches. Use the code AATBIRDS at checkout for 10% off. Funkbrewing.com, the official brewery of AAT Birds. And of course, our favorite to say, our favorite to use is Manscaped.com. It's partnered with AAT Birds. Use the code AATBirds for 20% off and free shipping at checkout. Your balls will thank you.
Had to get it right up in there, didn't you?
Right up in there. I can't wait to record the new commercial, which is a Valentine's Day theme. And it's talking about shooting your arrow with Cupid's smooth balls or something like that. Because I don't write the scripts, I just share them.
Lovely.
So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing. If you're listening to the audio, make sure you are subscribing and doing all the fun things that the audio comes with. You don't get to see our pretty faces in Australia or Germany, wherever you are listening from, but you can always tune in on the YouTube. And as we end every show here on the AAT Sports Network and AAT Birds Weekly Report, we end with a very positive and a very happy